ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येम अक्षभिः यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैर्तुष्टुवांसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति नः इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नः तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्ददातु ओम शांति शांति शांति। यो अन्तः प्रविश्य मम वाच इमां प्रसुप्तां संजीवयति अखिलशक्तिधरस्वधाम्नाम् अन्यांस्तहस्तचरणश्रवणत्वगादीन् प्राणान् नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यम्। लसतु श्रीमदानन्दतीर्थेन्दुर्नो हृदम्बरे यद्वचश्चन्द्रिका स्वान्तसन्तापं विनिकृन्तति। पदवाक्यप्रमाणज्ञान् प्रणम्य शिरसा गुरून् व्याकरिष्ये यथाभूतं विष्णुतत्त्वविनिर्णयम्. So yeah, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening for friends. This is our 42nd session of Mundaka Upanishad. So where were we? So we are in the Tritiya Mundake Pratama Kandaha, and we have done the first two verses. So before we go into that, let's think about the rishis, all the rishis of this great Upanishad: Angira, Satyavaha, Angirasa, Shuanaka. Devata is Aksharanamaka Paramatma, Chandas is Anushtup, and others. So over the last two sessions, we have been dealing with some really important concepts of Vedic philosophy. So Dvasuparna, Sayuja, Sakaya, Samana Vriksham, Parishashvajate, Tayor Anyaha Pippalam Swadatti Anashnan Anyaha Abhichakashiti. Samane vrikshe purusho nimagnaha anishaya shochati muhyamanaha jushtam yada pashyati anyamisham asya mahimanam iti vitashokaha. So this is the couple of verses that we have spent about 3 sessions looking at this. So what is this talking about? So a very quick recap before we go into the other verses. So quite a lot to cover today, and hopefully I'll be able to complete the third verse today. Right. So what did the first verse say? Dva and Suparnau. So we understood that when there is Suparnau, which is dual in Sanskrit, it means there are two birds. And it is prefixed by Dvau. Dvau there means Paraspara Binna, or two different species of birds. Otherwise, there doesn't have to be this word Dva there. Suparnau itself dual. And again, it is qualified by the word Dva. So that itself gives you the evidence that what Angirasa has intuited here is entirely two different types of birds who are nested in this tree. Parishashva jate, that is nested in this tree. What is this tree? This vriksham is this pindanda, or our body. So in our body, in the guha, in the middle portion of the body, is the guha is the nest, and in that guha are the two birds, Jivatma and the Antaryamin, who is inside the Jivatma, is the basic philosophy there, which we should never fall down on. This is not Jiva and the mind. This is not the Jiva and the mind that is being discussed here. This is the Jiva and the Antaratma that is being discussed here. Okay. The evidence for that is Dva and Suparna. And the second line there tells you Tayor Anyaha Pippalam Swadatti Anashnan Anyaha Abhichakashiti. So the Rishi Angirasa is qualified. What are those two birds? Those two birds are two different species of birds. So what are those species? The first species is you and me, the Jivas. What are we doing? Tayor Anyaha Pippalam Swadatti. We are eating this bitter fruit thinking that it is very delicious. And who is the other species of bird? Anashnan Anyaha Abhichakashiti. The other guy who is a silent witness of this bird eating all these bitter fruits. Okay, so that is the key message of the first verse. Okay, Jiva eats karma phala, that is the pippalam, and thinks that it is tasty and it is going around in circles. The Antaryamin does not eat the bad karmas of the Jivas, and he is just observing with full brightness and vitality. Okay, so this particular verse, the Dvasuparna verse, is categorically establishing the fundamental difference between the Jiva and the Paramatma. Okay, so we can never get confused with this word. Very similar to Shvetashvatara Upanishad, as we discussed, Nyau Nya Agnyau, do well. Dvau, do well. Okay. Kshara Atmanau, do well. Ishate Deva Ekaha. So, Deva is the Brahman. Kshara and Atma, here Jiva and the Jaras, they are under his control. Categorically says Shvetashvatara Upanishad, again elaborating these differences that we see in the universe. Okay. But what is going on here? So the first bird, which the Angirasa has said, Tayor Anyaha Pippalam Swadati. So what is happening to that bird that is eating this karmapala? Samane Vrikshe Purusho Nimagnaha Anishaya Shochati Muhyamanaha Jushtam Yada Pashyati Anyam Isham Asya Mahimanam Iti Vita Shokaha is what Angirasa said. So this other bird, Samane Vriksha, it is in the same tree where the Antaryamin is there inside it. But this guy, Purusha, who is Purishete, he who is inside this Vriksha, called the Pindanta, is also called Purusha. Yeah, male and female. Purusha, Nimagnaha. Nimagnaha means he is sunk, he is submerged, he is drowned, he is helpless. Why is he helpless and drowned in this ocean called the samsara? Because he is not able to control his destination. He thinks he's in control, but actually he is not. If he was in total control of his destination, then he will never put himself through suffering. But suffering happens. That is a classic example to show that we are not the controllers. If we are the controllers, we should always be happy. We should always be successful. We should always be, in bliss. But that is not what is happening in our lives. We are having sufferings of various types. And it is that Anishaya and Muhyamanaha which is responsible for the Sochati, struggling and suffering, because it is deluded that it is in control, but it is not, and it is not able to control its destination, and it is struggling. Okay. So what is that solution for the jiva is the key question here. If this is the position of us in samsara, there must be a way of getting around it, isn't it? We cannot be stuck here forever. We just need to find a way around this situation that we are in. What is the situation? So Jayatirtha in Upadhi Khandana Tika starts off by giving us this fundamental verse, which I believe is inspired by these concepts that we have just discussed. Paramatmano Atyanta Binnasya. So that is your first point for philosophical journey or progression. First, you know that this guy is so different from me. Although I have Swat Chit Ananda Atma Kasyapi Jivasya, although inherently I am blissful, currently I am suffering. Why? Anadi Avidya Kama Karmadi Nimittaha. Kama, this is avidya and kama. These are all the two things that leads to karma. This karma is the pippala. Okay. This is the reason, nimittaha. Okay. So this is very, very important. So if we don't get this if we don't agree with this, then it's difficult, I suppose, to navigate through the rest of the verses. But this is what Angirasa is teaching us here. Samane vrikshe purusho nimagnaha anishaya shochati muhyamanaha. What is the solution? Jushtam yada pashyati anyam isham asya mahimanam iti vita shokaha. So in the second part of this verse, Angirasa summarized the whole of the Vedic philosophy. Okay? The solution for the jiva is Jushtam yada pashyati. When this bird, instead of turning towards the material world, it turns inwards. Yada pashyati, whom? Anyam isham, that the other bird, the different bird, the one that is entirely different from it, is the language of the Angirasa here. You cannot, there is no way of misinterpreting it. Jushtam yada pashyati. Pashyati means what? Sees or knows. Sees. Aparoksha jnana. Sees this antaryamin who is inside him. Okay. Who is this antaryamin? He is anya. He is different from him, is what Angirasa is saying there. Okay. So this bimba pratibimba concept, we have sort of dissected it out enough in our previous slides. So just very briefly, this bimba is looking at the pratibimba, and the pratibimba is eating the karma phala. But what should happen? The pratibimba then should turn inwards and start seeing the bimba. So that is the idea here. The reflection starts seeing the object. That is the philosophy that we have discussed. And in this critical verse, again, you should watch these words that come up, which we should never conveniently forget. Anyam Isham. Anyam means other. Isham, that other bird who is the controller or the master, the Swami. Okay. Anyam Isham again establishes absolute difference between the Jiva and the Paramatma, at least from the language of the Atharva Veda or Atharvana Upanishad. It is not enough just to see this Paramatma and say, okay, he is different and he is inside me of the Antaryami. No, you should see him understanding all his Mahimas, all his greatness. Yeah. Asya Mahimanam. Then what happens? Vita Shokaha. Okay. So this is the summary of the second slide, which gives you the journey of souls and how do they progress. There isn't a quick fix here. Okay. There isn't a quick fix. There is a system, there is a formula, there is a journey that is being provided, a route, a direction, a sat nav that is being provided by Angirasa and the Vedas and the Upanishads for us to make the journey, and there is no shortcut to it. Jushtam yada pashyati anyamisham asya mahimanam iti vita shokaha. So pashyati becomes very important. That is the root. If you keep looking at the material world, no point. You have to start looking at your Antaryami. And then you reach Paramatma. So that is the route that is being discussed in the Upanishads everywhere very clearly. So what is that Pashyati? What is it that we need to know? So in the previous verses, you may remember in the second Mundaka, Tritiya Khandaha, there was a lot of discussion about Paroksha Jnana and Aparoksha Jnana. So I just want to park for a minute here and get people to think about again. Again, we should never lose the opportunity to think about this. The more we do the manana, the better we get at this. So what is Paroksha Jnana and what is Aparoksha Jnana? So who wants to share their thoughts with us here, please? What is our understanding of Paroksha Jnana and Aparoksha Jnana? Okay, no worries. So Paroksha, Suresh, yeah, okay, go for it. Suresh and then Pratibhaji.
Paroksha Jnana, I feel whatever we have understood from the scriptures through the gurus, whatever we have with our limited understanding, we try to meditate and see is Paroksha. And Aparoksha is when it goes beyond it. When it goes beyond that, by the anugraha of the Lord, it happens to us. We are not doing anything. After the effort, the anugraha, and it's through His grace we get the Aparoksha Jnana. I don't know whether I'm right.
Thank you, Pratibhaji. Interesting idea. Suresh ji?
Thanks, Madhuji. Something similar. I mean, Paroksha Jnana is Vritti Jnana, or acquired knowledge. And Aparoksha Jnana is, alludes to Swarupa Jnana. I mean, it's the realized self-realization, the inherent knowledge.
Thank you very much. So this is, thank you, Suresh ji and Pratibhaji. Excellent suggestions. Deval?
I think just to qualify, Aparoksha Jnana is an experiential knowledge.
Yeah.
So there is that experience element in it, which is not there in Paroksha.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Deval ji. So the
Madhuji, I
experience.
have a question.
Yeah.
I think once Veenaji in Bhagavad Gita Chintana put the slides of all this Aparoksha Jnana, 3-4 slides, I vaguely remember. So what were they about? In a human being, it's just a lightning. Is it just lightning of knowledge when you do something, it is, or is it an experience?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, Shilaji, for this question. So I'll try and make an attempt, but if Veena ji is there, Suresh, maybe Veena ji wants to clarify those slides. That will be good also. So, so one thing I need to say is this: think about the word para aksha jnana. Okay, paroksha jnana, very easy to understand. Para means that which is different. Aksha means your eyes and other sense organs. Jnana. So para aksha jnana is those knowledge that you get using something that is external to you as a jiva, using material indriyas. That knowledge that you acquire is called paroksha jnana, which is indirect knowledge. Okay. Whereas aparoksha jnana is apara Aksha, that is apara. Apara means that which is non-different from yourself. That is your jiva swarupa, and the indriyas or the jivas getting that knowledge of the antaryamin inside is the aparoksha jnana. So at the end of the day, both paroksha and aparoksha jnana is experienced by the soul. Yeah, so that we should never forget that it is the soul who is the experiencer of the knowledge. It is the soul that gets the knowledge. It is the soul that becomes aware of things. That awareness of things can be external to us. That is paroksha jnana, which is through the mental modification of the mind stuff. It's called that Sureshji very nicely said vritti jnana. Whereas aparoksha jnana is the next level where you don't need your mind vritti, the knowledge that comes from the modification of the mind stuff. The jiva swarupa itself is intuiting that knowledge of the Paramatma who is inside him and experiencing that knowledge is the aparoksha jnana. So the component of experience is there in both. It is in what perspective that we see that is different. So Sheilaji, coming back.
So mind experiences both, isn't it?
So the mind does not the mind is not an experiencer.
Yeah. Ego is the experiencer, ego is also. I mean, there is a sakshi inside. They say sakshi himself experiences through the ego, but still, unless we experience it, we won't know. No.
So yeah, Sheilaji, there is you said the ego. Ego is also a component of the mind. So
ahankara,
it could be so that one that you may be talking about could be a view of the Mayavada, which has been refuted because that is also a component of the mind, which is an insentient thing. So the other view there is mind cannot be an experiencer. Ego cannot be an experiencer because it is a jada. A stone and ego are the same because they are jada and they cannot experience. It is only the sentient thing that can experience is the other view on this one. So anyway, let's move on. Thank you very much for an interesting conversation here. So it is a jiva that is the experiencer. So how does this jiva start off its journey to experience? So we have done this before, right? Paroksha jnana, mental construct. Aparoksha jnana, direct experience of God, our antaryamin. And the same Angirasa has taught us beautifully. Dhanur grihatva, Upanishadam, Mahastram, Sharamhi, Upasa, Nishitam, Sandadiya. Ayamya tadbhavagatena chetasa lakshyam tadeva aksharam somya viddhi. Your bow is your Upanishad. Upanishad means Vedas. That is where you start reading satsang, shravana, manana and dhyana. That is still shravana, manana and dhyana. They are all mental constructs. Yeah, at this point of time when we are in this level, at this point, this is all still a vritti jnana that we are getting by studying the Upanishads. Okay, but our Rishis say that you need to go further. Most of us will stop at this point and feel, oh yeah, I've had a nice little sensation. I'll have prasadam and then I'll have chat and go, and that's a good day spent. No, that is still a mental construct that we have done. This satsang, for example, which we have done for years, is also paroksha jnana. It is a mental construct of what we are doing. But we need to go further than that. So the step one, but nevertheless, we have to take that first step. If we don't take the first step, we will never reach our destination. But that first step is get the vritti jnana or mental construct or a paroksha jnana. Keep doing stavana, manana, dhyana. And as you do that, then what you do is from the Upanishads, you move to the pranava, because after all, from the pranava only, all the Upanishads have come, isn't it? From pranava is the Vyahriti, then Gayatri, then Purusha Shukta, then the Rig, Yajus, Samaveda, and then all the sounds of the universe that have emanated from Omkara. So our Angirasa then said that paroksha jnana then should go to the next level. What is that? Understanding that pranava or the omkara, and then do that meditation, still your mind, clean up your mind, empty your mind and everything else with pranava. Just reciting om will not take us anywhere. It is about the full anusandana of who and what that om is all about. Pranavo danuhu sharohi atma brahmata lakshamuchyate apramattena vedavyam sharavat tanmayo bhavet. The last word is the aparoksha state. You do the omkara chintana, and then at some point when you do that, your mind stills and your jiva swarupa awakens, and the jiva swarupa then becomes the the bow itself. So the Jiva Swarupa with its Indriya will do that Shravana, Manana, and Dhyana and eventually see this Paramatma in all its glory. Okay, so that is the step. Step 1, step 2A, and step 2B to reach the state of Aparoksha Jnana, which is what the next verse talks about. Okay, so just let's go back and think about Jushtam Yada Pashyati Anyamisham Asya Mahimanam Iti Vita Shokaha. When it does that Pashyati, when it sees, when it has that Aparoksha Jnana, step 2B in this equation, where this Pranava, this Dhanus, Vedavyam, Sharavat, Tanmayo Bhaved, when the Jiva itself becomes that weapon, that bow and arrow. What does the Jiva see? What is that Aparoksha Jnana is the discussion here. Yada Pashyaha Pashyate Rukmavaranam Kartaram Isham Purusham Brahmayonim Tada Vidwan Punyapape Viduya Niranjanaha Paramam Samyam Upaiti. Okay, so this verse has got profound Vedantic significance and it has been discussed by various acharyas from various perspectives. So hopefully over the next 30-35 minutes, we'll try and do some justice to this verse. Yada Pashyaha Pashyate Rukmavaranam Kartaramisham Purusham Brahmayonim Tada Vidwan Punyapape Viduya Niranjanaha Paramam Samyam Upaiti. So what happens to the Aparoksha Jnanin when he sees who is this? Let us break this sentence. Oh, Yada Pashyaha. What is Pashyaha? That person who is an Aparoksha Jnanin when Yada, that Aparoksha Jnanin Pashyate sees. Okay. The sees or has Aparoksha Jnana of what? Okay. Yada, the one who is deserving of Aparoksha Jnana, that is you and me at some point where because we have done our Shravana, Manana and Dhyana over eons and multiple births, we may reach a stage with divine grace that we become eligible for Aparoksha Jnana and that with his grace, then we turn inwards, that bird turns inwards and sees Pashyate, sees this Antaryamin. What does this Aparoksha Jnanin or the Jiva or the bird that has now turned inwards sees? What does it see? It sees Rukmavaranam. Okay, very beautiful, very clear, very clear. Rukma and Varana. Okay. So here I just want to break for 30 seconds. What is the meaning of Varana in Vedic philosophy? Yeah. What is the real philosophical meaning of Varana? Not the Varanashrama Dharma which is being abused in Bharatvarsha at this point of time. But what is the Vedic view of what that Varana is? Anybody wants to tell us what that is?
Is it vibrations? Highest energy, energy levels?
Energy levels. Thank you, Shilaji.
Omkara starts with the vibrations, isn't it?
Yeah, okay, that's good. So you're coming from the Varanas. Okay, interesting,
Yeah.
Shilaji. So that's
vibrations, energy levels are like you say, life force. Prana, Agni, Vayu, and all. So prana is vital life force energy. So it must be vibration, energy. It is, yeah.
Thank you,
feel
Shilaji.
anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Shi. So we got Suresh and then we go to Harshad Dabke. Suresh.
Perhaps Varna is nature or it alludes to inherent natures, so to say, or the Swabhava, something close to it.
Thank you, Suresh ji. Harshad ji.
In the context of this verse, is it Varna the external appearance or the radiance? Is that what is being referred to here?
Okay, thank you, Harsha ji. So lots of interesting thoughts. So I think Varana, think about the Varana. Okay, Varana is color. Yeah, of course, Sheila ji is of Varanatmaka Shabda, Dvanyatmaka Shabda. The unmanifested form of sounds is also called Varanas, which is all pervasive. So that is one meaning of Varanas. But the Varana here, Rukma means golden. Okay, golden hue is Rukma. Okay, Varana means color. Color means what? We say, no, this person has shown his true color today. This guy has shown his true colors. What does that say? When you say that this fellow is a chameleon, he changes colors, or this fellow has shown his true colors, he has shown his true varana, there actually means, as Sureshji picked it up, is this true nature or the inherent nature of the swabhava. Okay? The varana, the true color or the nature. So this bird who is yada pashyaha pashyate, he sees what? That antaryamin whose nature, whose inherent swabhava is golden hue. Okay? He is of golden hue. Okay, so let us think about what is it that Angirasa is saying when he says golden hue or rukma varana. Golden hue literally means a gold nugget and the color of the gold. And not surprisingly, our rishis give a lot of importance to fire, Agni. Why? Because Agni also has got Rukma Varana. Okay? And of course, our Mundaka Upanishad goes all out to talk about this before, and it has done this before. Hiranmaye pare koshe virajam brahma nishkalam. It said this guy, Hiranmaye. Hiranmaya means what? Golden color. Hiranmayena patrena satyasya abhihitam mukam. Hiranmaye, golden color. Hiranmaya is the Rukma Varana. They are synonymous. Okay. In Vishnu Sahasranama, the other day we were reciting Vishnu Sahasranama, 44th verse. Hiranyagarbha, this Brahman, this Vishnu is celebrated in Vishnu Sahasranama as Hiranyagarbha. And then last, you may remember, we did this Hiranyagarbha Sukta of Rigveda in Kshudra Maha Sukta Mandala. Hiranyagarbha Prajapatyaha Trishtup. Hiranyagarbha Samavartadagre. Bhutasya Jataha Patireko Asit Sadatar Prithivim Dhyam Rute Ma Kasmai Devaya Havisha Videma. And it goes on. The Hiranyagarbha Sukta celebrating this Vishnu who was there before creation. Patir Ekam Asit. Yeah, very, very clear verses. So Hiranyagarbha, Hiranmaya, Rukmavarana, they all denote this Antaryaman who is inside. And why does our rishis give various colors to various, it is just a metaphorical way of our understanding. Antaryamin is not golden color, okay? Gold is made of photon. The material gold that we see, the light that emanates is what gives you that gold color. That is photon. That is material. Okay? So this guy is non-material. So what that actually means, the metaphorical significance of the Rukmavarana or Hiranmaya is that he is light, he is knowledge, he is Jnanamaya. That is what Angirasa is talking. So Shilaji, yeah. You're muted, Shilaji. Not to worry. So we'll keep going. So Rukmavarana and Hiranyagarbha, Hiranmaya are the same. It talks about this person who is full of knowledge. Okay. So this Bimba is full of knowledge and it is the controller. Okay. And I just want, so for those of you who have been to Rome and have been to the Sistine Chapel, you will see this famous figure of this is a Jiva and this is the Paramatma, the Father. And there is the connection between them. Okay. So this you would have seen in the Sistine Chapel. Okay. That is Bimba Pratibimba Bhava. This Holy Father is the Bimba and this is the Jiva who is dependent on him. So similar kind of views that comes out from the Sistine Chapel. So think about that. And this Bimba is golden hue. He is full of knowledge. Okay. Now, what else is he? Okay. Yada Pashyaha Pashyate. As I said, why is this particular verse? It says, Asya Mahimanam iti Vita Shokaha is what the verse said, the previous verse. You need to know about his greatness. So what is the first greatness? It is Rukmavarnam. He is full of knowledge. He is Sarvajna. Kartaram. This Antaryaman, this Paramatma, this Brahman is the Kartaram. Okay. Kartaram. He who is the doer. Okay. Independent doer. Brahmano Lakshanamaha Janmadyasya Yataha. He who is the creator of the universe. Yato va imani bhutani jayante yena jatani jivanti yat prayanti abhisam vishanti tad vijijnasesva tad brahmeti samsara moksha sthiti bandha hetuhu. Utpattir, Stitir, Samhara, Niyatir, Jnanam, Avrittihi, Bandha Moksha, Chau, Purushad, Yasmat, Harirekarat. These are all the verses that we keep reciting again and again in our group. Why? Because that celebrates the Kartaram. Srimad Acharya in Anubhashya, which is one of the brief commentaries on Brahma Sutra, he in the very first line, what does he say? Vishnureva Vijijnasyaha Sarvakarta. He is the all-doer. That is how do you know that he is the creator of this universe? Janmadhyasya yataha sarvakarta. Yavu tridatum prithivyaam rutadevam ekam datara bhuvanani vishwam. Go to the Rig Veda verse that celebrates the creatorship of jivas, of Brahman. What does it do? Eightfold cosmic dispensations. Okay? That is why he is called Kartaram. Okay? We cannot, Angirasa has not said he is Nirguna, Nirkriya, he does not do anything. Okay? What Angirasa has said is, he is Rukmavarana, he's got Jnanatva, quality. Jnana, Jnanatva, Rukmavarana. He is Kartaram, Kartrutva, quality. What does he do? Creates the universe. Okay. He is not Nirguna in this particular verse according to Angirasa. The same creatorship of Akshara has been discussed in Mundaka Upanishad. We cannot forget this. Yata urnanabihi srujate gruhnate cha yata prithvivyam oshadayaha sambhavanti yata sataha purushat keshalomani tata aksharat sambhavati iha vishwam. 1.7 Mundaka Upanishad, where it discusses what are the three things about his creatorship. He brings forth the material world just as how the spider brings forth its web. He brings the jivas into this world just as how different seeds become different plants. A neem seed becomes a neem plant, a mango seed becomes a mango plant. A neem seed will never become a mango plant, nor the mango seed becoming the neem plant. Each jiva has a swabhava, and this universe is like it's like a ground on which this farmer called Brahman plants these seeds so that they can grow and work out their salvation. Yata prithvivyam oshadaya sambhavanti. How is his creation? Yata sataha purushat keshalomani. His creation is spontaneous, just as how the hair comes out of our body spontaneously without any effort from us. Similarly, the universe comes about. Okay, three important concepts of creatorship. Yada pashyah pashyate Rukmavaranam Kartaram. And here I have to point out, because we need to know Vidyam cha avidyam cha yastad veda yubayam sada avidyayam mrityum tirtva vidyayam amrutam ashnute, said Swayambhuva Manu in Isha Upanishad. So here we need to bring these ideas. Mayavada states Brahman is nirvisesha, nirguna, nishkriya. How can such an inert, actionless thing create the universe? They tell us this is vivarta, which is a superimposition of something which is mithya. Superimposition of or vivarta is not a creation. Okay, let's get this right. Philosophically, it is not creation. Rope is not the creator of the snake. Okay? This has been pointed out by the realistic philosophers as to how this does not fit into the discussions of the Upanishads. When the Upanishad says kartaram, that kartaram is not vivarta. Yeah. Yada pashyah pashyate rukmavaranam kartaram. And who is he? He is Isham. He is Swami, controller of everything. Okay. And he is Purusham. Purusham, we have done Purusham so many times. Purushottama Yoga, chapter 15 we have done. Purusha Shukta we have done. So that word Purusha itself is significant. That Purusha has got so many meanings. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 different meanings I've said. But just pick up 2 for our contemplation. He is Purishete. He is inside everything in the universe. Everything in the universe he is pervaded, including the jivas. And he is Purna Shat Gunatvad. He is full of infinite auspicious attributes. Therefore, he is called Purusha. And again, our Angirasa says that is why he is called Brahman. That is why he is called Vishnu. We have done this. Vish, to pervade, to enter, to occupy. Sha, motivator. Shakaro prana atma. Nakaro balam. Aitare Aranyaka, they gives etymology of this. Nakara means strength, Shakara means inner motivator, V means Vilakshana, Visishta, extraordinary. So this being is the inner motivator and is full of strength and he pervades everywhere. And this is his very essence. That is the meaning of U there. When the word U comes there, that means that is his inherent. It is not different. That qualities that are being described is not external to him. They are internal. They are part of his swabhava or varana. Okay? So he is Purusham. He is Vishnu. He is Brahman. And again, this is a very interesting word, Brahman. So our gurus teach us this Brahma Yonim can be looked at it from various angles. So let us look at it in as two different words for it, two different words. So what does the Jiva has to do? He has to see this Antaryamin as what? Rukmavaranam, which means full of knowledge. And his Kartaram means that he is Sarvakarta. He is Isham, meaning he is the controller of everything. He is Purusham because he is Purna Shadgunatvat. And he is Brahman. Why? Atakasmad uchyate Brahmeti Bruhanto hi asmin gunaha. He is all pervasive and full in time, in space, and attributes. That is why Brahma Shabdashta Vishnaveva establishes Srimad Acharya. So this Purusha and Kartaram and Isham is none other than this Brahman who is celebrated as Vishnu. The Vedas talk about this Vishnu quite a lot. Tad Vishnoho paramam padam sada pashyanti surayaha, Rig Veda. Vishnornukam viryani parovocham yab parthivani vimame rachamsi, Rig Veda. Paro matraya tanva vrudana natve mahitvam anvashnuvanti nate Vishno jayamano, Rigvada. Katha Upanishad, Tad Vishnoho paramam padam. He is the highest abode that you can reach. Shanno mitraha, sham varunaha, shanno bhavat varyama, shanno indro bruhaspatihi, shanno vishnu rukramaha. Everywhere, the Samanvaya is 100%. There's no way in which people can get confused. So this Brahma here has been qualified as Kartaram, Isham, Purusham. He is Brahman, not Nirguna Brahman. Brahman is full of infinite, non-material, auspicious attributes. Okay. And what else he is? He is Yonim. What does Yoni means? There are three meanings for Yoni in Vedic in Vedic scriptures. Yoni means Bharya. Bharya means wife. Okay. Or Utpatti Sthanam, place where everything is created. Or Karanam, the primary cause. This guy, Rukmavaranam, Kartaram, Isham, Purusham, who is called Brahman, he is the cause of all causes. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad says that Vishnur Yonim Kalpayat. Okay, so if you link all these things, it just opens up so beautifully as to what is it that Angirasa is talking about here. He is saying this guy, this Brahman, this Yonim, this Purusham, this Kartaram, this Isham, this Rukmavaranam is what this Aparoksha Jnanin sees him. So Shilaji was mentioning about that lightning a few minutes ago. Shilaji, that is the knowledge that you are talking about. So it could be a flash of intuitional knowledge that we might get that this guy is all this, okay, depending upon our inherent capacity. Now let us also open up this whole Brahma Yonim from another perspective. So this is very interesting. So Brahma Yonim, you can take it as a one compound word. Brahma Yonim. So look at our famous, chapter 15 verse, right? You have Dvavimau Purusho Loke Kshara Akshara Evacha Ksharaha Sarvani Bhutani Kutosto Akshara Uchate Uttamaha Purushastu Anyaha Paramatma Yeti Udahurataha. So you take that one, that Brahma Yonim fits very beautifully. So the word Brahman, Brahma, one meaning is, of course, the Narayana or Vishnu himself, who is full of infinite auspicious attributes. But that Brahma can also mean different things. It all depends upon the context in which we read the scriptures. Okay, never pluck the words. See the words in their context. So if you look at the Upanishads from various places, including Mundaka Upanishad, which is going to come in the second kanda. Okay, Sayo Havai Tat Paramam Brahma Veda Brahmaiva Bhavati Na Asya Brahma with Kule Bhavati Tarati shokam, tarati papmanam, gruha grantibhyo, vimukto, amruto bhavati. Okay. There it says there is this Paramam Brahma Veda. He who knows Paramam Brahma, he becomes Brahma. Okay, so again, some folks have conveniently sort of twisted this line, but we just need to read it scientifically. The first word is Paramam Brahma. So this guy knows the Paramam Brahma, then he becomes Brahma. He doesn't become Paramam Brahma. Okay, so clear. I don't know how folks can forget and miss these obvious words, but that is what it is showing. Srimad Acharya has pointed this to us. Paramam Brahma Veda Brahma Iva Bhavati. So what does that mean? Brahma has got so many meanings. Brahma, Parabrahma, Mahad Brahma, Paramam Mahad Brahma, Chaturmukha Brahma. Brahma also means Vedas. So what are all these meanings? Who wants to take up chapter 14, 3 to 4? Who wants to recite for us today? Panagashri, if you're there, do you want to go for it? Doesn't look like Panagaji is here, so that's fine. So, Pratibha, Deval, do you want to go for it? Deval, do you want to go for it? Yeah, go for it.
Yeah,
3.
it's a bit
If you do
difficult.
3 and then 4, Pratibhaji.
Okay. Mama yonirmahatra mahad brahma tasmin garbham dadamyaham sambhavah sarvabhutanam tato bhavati bharata.
Thank you very much, Devalji. Pratibhaji, do you want to go for 4th?
सर्वयोनिषु कौन्तेय मूर्तयः सम्भवन्ति याः तासां ब्रह्ममहोद्योनिर् अहं बीजप्रदः पिता.
Thank you very much. So these words are very, very clear. Okay. So if you understand what the yoni meaning is, the yoni I have said is Bharya, Utpatti Sthana or Karanam. And then if you have understood the various Brahma, there Mama Yonir Mahad Brahma. Okay. My wife is called Mahad Brahma. That is Sri Tattva Lakshmi. To her, Tasmin Garbham Dadamyaham. In her womb, I give my vitality. Okay. So Brahma Mahadyonim Aham Bija Pradaha Pitaha. I bring all these jivas into creation is what Krishna is talking about, very clear. Of course, the folks interpret it differently. It is their problem. But if you look at the etymology from the Upanishads, Gita is a summary of the Upanishads. So you have to go to the Upanishads and understand what is Gita saying. Go to Mundaka Upanishad. Or go to Ambrini Shukta of Rigveda of the 10th Mandalam. Yam kamaye tam tamugram karomi tam brahmanam tam rishim tam sumedami. Last line. Aham suve pitaramasya murdan mama yonir apswantaha samudre. My karana, yoni there means my origin, my karana, my utpatti sthana is this samudra. He is in this primordial waters, that is Vishnu. She is Lakshmi or Sri Tattva. Okay. So Brahma Yoni there means that he is the cause, brings forth Mama Yonir Apswantaha Samudre. He is the Utpatti Sthana of Lakshmi. And of course, we know this Chaturmukha Brahma who comes out. So this Chaturmukha Brahma, he is the cause for this. This Chaturmukha Brahma's Yonim is this Paramatma, Brahma Yonim. And the other one, Brahman means Vedas. So in the Vedas only you will find him. Okay, so that is the Utpatti Sthana of the knowledge of Brahman, is this Brahma, which is called Vedas. So if you want to, where you want to go and know this Paramatma means you have to go to Vedas, nowhere else. So that is also the meaning of Brahma Yoni. So Angirasa beautifully, sort of compresses all these ideas in this verse. And then of course he says, Tada Vidwan, when he knows this, Yada Pashyah Pashyate Rukmavaranam Kartaram Isham Purusham Brahma Yonim. That is, when he has had the Aparoksha Jnana, what happens? Tada Vidwan, when he knows, what will happen? Punya Pape Viduya. This is interesting. So we have what? We have the Linga Sharira. We have done this a million times in our sessions. Linga Sharira, where the karmic imprints are. The karmic imprints can be so many things. There may be Punya karmic imprints or the Papa karmic imprints. That is what he's talking about, Punya and Papa. Okay, they're all the karmic imprints there, which is responsible for the endless births that we are having. But when we have that aparoksha jnana, what happens? This punya and papa, vidhuya, they get lost, they are removed, destroyed. Okay. Okay. Punya pape vidhuya. They go away. And then what happens? This soul becomes Niranjanaha. We know many folks who have Niranjan as their names. I don't know whether they know their meanings of their names, but this is the meaning. Anjana means spots. Okay. Niranjana means spotless. What spotless? The spots of karmic imprints on the Linga Sharira. That is what means Niranjanaha means. Niranjanaha means don't have any spots, karmic spots which are being taken out by Paramatma. That is Karmakshaya. In the Brahma Sutra, 4th Adhyaya, Karmakshaya Pada is discussed there, bringing all these Upanishad evidence and say that is the reason why you have to do sadhana, to get rid of these karmic imprints, which is what Angirasa is saying. Tada vidwan punya pape vidhuya niranjanaha. Okay. And then what happens? This is interesting. Okay. This is beautiful philosophy that all the acharyas have discussed this in great detail. So let's spend the last 10-15 minutes this and close today's session. Punya papena vidhuya niranjanaha. Okay, so here one small point I want to qualify. So punya karmas are also gone and papa karmas are also gone, means the punya karmas have to be qualified. Okay. Punya karma means the karmas, the punya that we would have done, so that I get the in the karma pala of having lots of properties, for example. Because I've done some punya before, that punya then will allow me to have huge amount of wealth and live lavish lifestyles that we see many folks in the current world doing it. That is because they have done punya, some punya before. So that is still is binding, right? So it is those punya karmas that will go, whereas there are certain other punya karmas that will allow us to make further progress in our sadhanas, in our journey of shreyas. We can that punyas will still be there, and they will actually help us increasing our intensity of bliss and liberation. So when Angirasa says punya also vidhuya, this means the punyas that will bind you in material world, but there are other punyas that will come with you. Okay, so punya pape vidhuya niranjanaha. Then comes the tricky word. Paramam samyam upaiti. When he crosses the viraja and sheds his linga sharira and he goes to this area of, this transempirical infinite plane of transempirical existence, there what happens to this jiva? Paramam samyam upaiti. Okay. So here is the three different views of the three schools. Mayavada says we become one with Brahman. Okay, well, from a Mayavada's perspective, we were never different from Brahman. We are Brahman now itself. Okay, it is not that we have to go somewhere and become Brahman. We are Brahman now itself. We become one with Brahman. Visishtadvaita says that the experience of our bliss in liberation equals the bliss of Brahman. Okay, that is how they view this. Paramam samyam upaiti. Samyam means similarity. Okay, equality, if you like. Equality is a bit difficult to put there. Similarity, and it is supreme similarity of what? Vishishtadvaita philosophers say the bliss of Brahman is equal to the bliss of jivas. That is why is it called Vishishta Advaita. There is a union of bliss. The bliss is the same. Although the jivas are different, the intensity of the bliss is the same, is why it is called Vishishta Advaita. Then, of course, there is the Tattvavada, which says that the jiva is there, the Brahman is there. Jiva has got a quanta of bliss. Brahman is infinitely blissful. But there is some similarity between them, is the view there. So how do we kind of look at this? Paramam samyam. Okay, let us look at upaiti. Okay, upaiti, the words, again we have to read. We cannot not conveniently swallow the words. If you look at upaiti, upa eti. What is the meaning of eti? Attains, approaches, goes towards, goes near. Those are all the meaning of eti. Upa, higher attains, higher approaches, go to the highest planes. Upa eti does not become aikya. Okay, so upa eti is not aikya. Some people want us to believe, but the word of Angirasa of Atharva Veda is very clear. It is upa eti. Okay, look at Katha Upanishad. Vijnana saratim yastu manaha pragraham van naraha So Advanaha param apnoti tad Vishnoho paramam padam. Apnoti doesn't become, he reaches. That is what all the Upanishad states. But somehow some folks think that reaches becomes Aikya. I don't know how. But the words are very clear from where I see it. Upaeti, apnoti. Okay. So it becomes problematic for some schools, but again, that is their problem. They can have a hypothesis of Aikyam, but that is not the language of Upaiti, and apnoti means you reach. Okay. Paramam Samya, highest similarity. So what could be the highest similarity between us and the Paramatma when we are in a state of liberation? There are only two highest similarities. Dukkha Abhava. We don't have suffering when we go to liberation. We have a positive experience of bliss. Samsara Rahita. We are no longer in samsara. Those are the two things. It is only on those two perspectives we achieve some kind of similarity with the Paramatma. Okay. But we have a positive experience of bliss. Okay. The question there is, can Jiva attain the same level of bliss as Brahman? Okay. This similarity is fine. Dukkha, Abhava and Samsara Rahita, where we become similar. But can we attain the same similarity of intensity of bliss as Brahman? There are a couple of different views in the realistic schools of philosophy. In Visishtadvaita, they say yes. Okay, that our intensity of bliss is same as Brahman. So there are some philosophical discussions out. What is the definition of difference? Difference cannot be a difference in number alone. It has to be a difference in attributes. Okay? Difference means there is a difference in attributes. That is why there is a difference. So it's the argumentation or polemics between the Tattvavada, Visishtavada. That is not for us to discuss. But I thought I'll introduce this idea. If the Jiva attains the same, does the Jiva attains the same place? Tattvavada will say no. It will say, look, there are different sizes of cups. When each size of the cup is filled with water, each one is Purna from its perspective. But this guy is infinitely Purna. These cups are all Purna from their own inherent capacities. This is how the Tattvavada would view it. The Visishtadvaita would say all the cups become the same at that point. The fullness here is the same as Brahman. Then, of course, our Mayavada friends will say there is no many cups, there is only one cup. That cup is empty because it is Nirguna, Nirkriya, Nirakara, it is Sunya. Okay, that is what the Mayavada view is. So, I will let you guys decide what you want, but the key is the Upanishads are very clear. It says, Nya, Gnyo, Dhyava, Anisho, Kshara, Atmana, Vishate, Deve, Ekaha. If you look at Purusha Shukta, it says, Uta Amrutatvasya Ishanaha. This guy, this Paramatma, even in Amrutasya, that is in the state of liberation, he is the controller of all the jivas. Yeah. In Chandogya Upanishad, we have done this, isn't it? When all the rivers kind of merge into the ocean. Again, some folks think that somehow the water molecules of the river become one with the water molecules of ocean. That is fundamental physics got miserably wrong. The water molecules of the river are there. The water molecules of the sea is there. They just come to the same place. That is what. They don't become one. They are always different, but they are in the same place, which is what? Which is the site of liberation, which is described in Chandogya Upanishad, 6th chapter, 6th adhyaya, 10th chapter, in the second verse. You can go and look at it. We have done this before. So this whole idea of liberation is discussed in the fourth pada of the fourth. If you look at the last adhyaya of Brahma Sutra and the fourth pada, it's called Bhoga Pada. Bhogapada, where Veda Vyasa talks about what is the state of the souls in liberation. Okay. Go and check those verses, or I put some ideas here. Muktaha pratigyanat atma prakaranat. Yeah. Jagat Vyapara Varjam. This is a key verse. Veda Vyasa Jagat Vyapara Varjan. The jivas can never be creators of the universe. It is the portfolio of Paramatma. So what is the Paramam Samyam Upeti that the Vedas are talking about? When the jivas go to liberation, there is this infinite transempirical plane, which is again all pervaded by Paramatma. And the Vedas tell us there are Tripadasya Amrutandivi, Purusha Shukta. There are three aspects: Anantasana, Vaikunta, Shvetadipa, Amruta, Kshema, Abhaya, where you can contemplate on Narayana, who is called as Vishnu, who is called Narayana, Vishnu is called Vaikunta, Vishnu who is called Padmanabha. What do the jivas do? The Vedas talk about 4 stations. Okay. Salokya, Samipya, Sarupya, Sayujya. You may be in your similarity may be that you are in the same transempirical plane. I may be somewhere very, very peripheral, some very so far away from where our Lakshmi and Narayana are there. I may be very far away, but I'm still in that place. Salokya, that could be my Paramam Samyam. Or I may be a little bit closer to our Paramatma. Samipya. Or some folks can even have similar forms with four hands and all that. Our Vedas talk about the Jiva Swarupa. Okay. So that is Sarupya. And then I put a question mark. Some folks are Sayujya. They can actually into the Brahman and swim around in Brahman. Okay. Who are the Sayujyas? Anybody wants to answer that question? So the Sayujyas are the Tattvabhimani Devatas. You remember Brahmano asya mukamasid bahur rajanya kritaha uru tadasya vaishyaha padbyam shudro ajayata chandrama manaso jato chakshur suryo ajayata mukad indrashcha agnishcha pranad vayur ajayata. Those guys are the Sayujyas. Okay. They emanate from him, and at the end of creation, they actually go to that place in the liberation state. Yeah. So that is the Paramam Samyam that we can talk about. If some people may think that they want to become Brahman, fine, it's up to them. But from where I see it, we are always eternal servants of the Supreme everywhere, both in samsara and in moksha sthiti. I can't ever imagine and make that blunder saying myself as Paramatma. We know the state of Hiranyakashipu when he did that. So I am very, very conscious of that fact. But here is the problem, which I want to do the next 5-10 minutes and close. So some philosophers, classically Mayavada, will say all portions of the Vedas, including what the Mundaka Upanishad is saying, is actually not true, mate. Don't believe it. Okay. There are only few verses. They are the Tattva Vedaka, as it's called. There are only few verses that are Tattva Vedaka. What is Tattva Vedaka? Truth declaring. Okay. There are only few. What I've told you about Dvasuparana, Jushtam Yada Pashyati is all untrue. Atattva Vedaka. There are only 5 or 4. Aham Brahmasmi Tattvamasi Sadeva Somya Idamagra Asid Ekameva Advityam Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma Tajjalaniti Shanta Upasita Ayamatma Brahma Prajnanam Brahma. So these are the Tattva Vedaka. Forget about all others, including Dvasuparana, including Jushtam Yada Pashyati. So in that sense, over the last 1.5 years, we have completely wasted our time reading the Mundaka Upanishad according to these philosophers. The problem there is if I say that Vedas are 2, Tattva Vedaka and Atattva Vedaka, then it means the rest of the infinite Vedas are Atattva Vedaka. Atattva Vedaka means non-truth declaring. That is, they are giving you a false knowledge. If so, what a waste of space and time would be some view. Okay? And another possible problem here, this is a hypothesis self-made by Mayavada. There is nowhere in the Vedas or our foundational father Vedavyasa who has actually said this. It is a self-made hypothesis. It has to be said there. Folks don't understand these ideas, but that is the truth. It is a self-made hypothesis to fit a hypothesis. There is no evidence in the Vedas. On the other hand, Mahaitare Upanishad will say, Tava etaha sarvaha richaha sarve vedaha sarve goshaha eka eva vyahritihi prana eva prana richa eva itya vidyat. Every sound of the universe celebrates the greatness of Paramatma. Sarve vedaha yat padamamananti. All the Vedas only celebrate Paramatma. Vedaishta sarvair ahameva vedyaha, Krishna says. So this becomes problematic. How do you square this circle? That is my intention here. How do we kind of approach this? If surgical training is hard and you need to develop our skills, so does the Shastra training, where you have to develop your skills to get this right. This is study and contemplation of Shastra is a serious business. Yeah, it is our career as souls that is at stake here. Yeah. Vedavyasa said, Tattu Samanvayat. When you read this, please read with the rules of interpretation. Tattu Samanvayat. Okay. Rather than saying only 4 or 5 is truth declaring, the rest of it is mithya. Okay. That is not acceptable for many. So the Veda Shrutis are many. In fact, the whole of the Vedas talk about Jiva is there, Paramatma is there. Jiva is the servant of the servant of the servant of whatever. He is nobody and he is a servant, eternal servant of Paramatma. Not only in the samsara state. Uta amrutatvasya ishanaha says Rigveda. Even in the liberated state, you are a servant of Paramatma. Whereas our Mayavada friends, they say, they believe that these verses actually illustrate an apparent aikya. That is, me and Paramatma are one and the same. Okay? How do you resolve this? If at all it is required. Okay? So from where I see it, it is not required at all, because the meanings of Aham Brahmasmi, Tattvamasi, Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma, Ayam Atma Brahma, Prajnanam Brahma, etc., has to be seen in context and has to be understood with the etymology of Vedic Sanskrit rather than plucking the words. But nevertheless, our acharyas give a rules of interpretation. What is the epistemological algorithm to understand and gain knowledge of anything in the universe? It could be a stone or it could be Brahman. Okay? If you want to know the material things, perception is superior to any agamas. That is called Upajivya, Upajivaka, Pramanya, Prabalya. That is the first two rules. I want to spend 5 minutes and close this. So for any perceptual knowledge of the material world, your sense organs are the superior source of knowledge. If some agama says ice is hot, it is unacceptable. Ice you touch with your fingers and then you get the knowledge that it is cold. No amount of testimony can actually tell otherwise. So for material things, sense objects are superior. But for non-material things, Jiva, Brahman, Karma, Punya, Papa, agama is superior to any perception. The first rule there is this talking about non-material things? If so, Vedas are the superior source of knowledge. So here we are talking about Jiva and Brahman. Therefore, Agama is the superior. Okay. Next we have to ask is this verse Niravakasha Shruti or Savakasha Shruti? What does that mean? Niravakasha Shruti means no other interpretation is possible. Okay. Whereas Savakasha Shruti means there are other interpretations that are possible. Okay, so for all the Veda Shrutis that I've including Dvasuparana, they are Niravakasha Shruti. There is no way in which you can have another interpretation. Whereas Aham Brahmasmi, Tattvamasi, and so on, there are Savakasha Shruti. There are so many other ways of interpreting this. Aham means Aheyatvat Aham Nama, Brahma Brihanto hi Asmin Gunaha, Asmi Asti iti Meyam. Okay, so Tattvamasi, where you can split that into Atma Tattvamasi Shveteketo. So there's so many, the tat there is Saptasu Pratama. You take the Sanskrit, take 7 ways of understanding tat. Then you take the illustrations and understand. That is called Tatparya Lingas and Purva Mimamsa Sutras. Upakrama, Upasamhara, Abhyasa, Apurvata, Phalam, Artavada, Upapatti, Shruti, Linga, Vakya, Prakarana, Sthana, Samakya. These are all the rules that have to be adopted to understand a Savakasha Shruti. Niravakasha Shruti with reasoning is the most authoritative, says Veda Vyasa. Okay. So when you look at that, Dvasuparana is a Niravakasha Shruti. Aham Brahmasmi Tattvamasi and all that so-called Tattva Vedaka are all Savakasha Shruti. There itself the interpretation comes to an end. So our Acharya gave a last slide. So our Acharya gave a rule as to how to understand this. Okay. Key Tattvavada argument. Apparent identity is figurative and not in essence. Swatantriyecha, Vishishtatve, Sthana Matya Aikya Yoropi, Sadrishecha Aikyavak, Samyak Savakasha Yateshtaha. We are all one in this matter, opinion. We are all stuck as one in the sinking ship. We are all one as Indians. We all look at pictures, we say it is a lion, but it is only a resemblance. Upanishad is full of metaphors. So if we understand based on the rules given by Acharya and Anuvyakyana, we will have no problem understanding the so-called apparent Aikya Shrutis. But here is the Mayavada argument. The apparent difference is intended for contemplation at a lower stage of spiritual discipline and to purify the mind. A purified mind is then capable of comprehending the identity thought in the Abheda Shruti is the view. So our Jayatirtha beautifully in Nyayasudha reveals the fallacy of this argument. The contemplation of Brahman as different from me at a lower level can only firm up our view that we are different. It cannot prepare our mind to contemplate identity. How is it that possible? Nobody has actually given the proof for that. So this is the discussions that is out there. Okay, so I hope you were able to appreciate the importance of the first 3 verses of this particular kanda, because the very next verse, our Angirasa, then once we have understood this, then Angirasa then says, Prano hi esha sarva bhutair vibhati, vijanan vidwan bhavate nativadi. Atmakridaha, Atmaratihi, Kriyavan, Yesha Brahmavidam Varishtaha. And he goes on talking about this. So I hope you will find this useful in the coming few weeks. So I'm going to kind of close this session there, and I went a little bit 5 minutes over time. We started about 2 minutes late, so apologies for taking another 5 minutes, but I had to complete that round of discussion, and I hope you found it useful as to how do you interpret Shastras rather than just plucking and making a airy foundation, airy-fairy philosophy, which is not what Vedavyasa and our Acharyas have taught. So on that note, Krishna Pranamastu. If there are no further, I'll give 10 seconds to see if there are any questions. So if there are no questions, I'm going to stop sharing my slides, and I'm going to invite His Grace and our long-term friend, Mohanadasa Prabhu from Hungary, to come and
Madhuri,
talk to
I
us.
have one question.
Oh, go for it.
That 14th chapter Bhagavad Gita, Mahatyonim.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was reading that this last week, and I thought it is Brahma, but you said it's. Is it
So
possible for you to explain a little more?
Yeah, so if you go to that word mama, mine, yonim, mahat, brahma, tasmin garbham, dadami, aham. Okay, so there are different acharyas look at it differently, interpret it differently. I'm going by Gita Bhashya and Gita Tatparya of Srimad Ananda Tirtha Madhvacharya, where he has taken that Mama Yonir Mahat Brahma. Yoni there means Bharya, my wife. Mama Yonir is Mahat Brahma. Okay, so that Mahat Brahma, some folks can take it as Prakriti, and some for Srimad Acharya will take it as Chit Prakriti, the sentient being behind the Jada Prakriti. Mama Yonihi Mahat Brahma. Tasmin, in her. Okay, look at that Vibhakti there. Tasmin, in her. Tasmin Garbham Dadami, in her. Tasmin Garbham Dadami Aham. Okay, so that is how there are different ways of looking at it. So,
it is Chit Prakriti.
Chit Prakriti,
So
Sri
in
Tattva.
which way this Bijam, I'm a little, it's not matter anyway. It's
So
very,
Tasmin
very
Garbham. So when if you think
Sukshma.
about that Mula Prakriti, when the Mula Prakriti then becomes the modification and becomes Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas, and then they start mixing up, and then they become the various other components. So you have to go right at the root of the creation. That Mula Prakriti, what is being stirred up in that Mula Prakriti that it becomes Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. Okay, so think about that idea, Shilaji. That will hopefully give you that. So
Yes.
that is how that I give my vitality, my force to that Mula Prakriti, and we have done Om Atataha and all that comes, and how that Mula Prakriti is stirred, and that Shri Tattva then becomes Shri, Bhu, and Durga for the Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas, and then how the Ahankara, Mahat Tattva, Ahankara Tattva, etc. comes up.
Yeah, that is how sages see a person, sees a person, isn't it? That level, people who are in that level, the colors, they say they varna or what they perceive is that sattva, rajas, tamas. And how even though the basic, this thing is Sachitananda, but it depends on that seed, isn't it? That is the seed you talk about.
So the seed there is that initial motivator,
Swabhava.
the initial motivator for creation to start. So the view there is, okay, at the end of Pralaya, Sri Tattva says, Narayana, get up, start the creation, and say, yeah, okay, I'm now going to start. Here you go. And then pushes Om Atataha and then starts. So that is what is the Aham Tasmin Garbham.
Yeah, I think I'm getting it. Yeah, thank you.
Okay,
thank you,
Shilaji.
Yeah.
So I'm going to invite Mohandas Prabhu to unmute and talk to us about this. So Mohanadasa Prabhu, a brief introduction to Mohanadasa. So His Grace Mohanadasa is a long-term friend and a great Krishna Bhakta, Krishna devotee. He has contributed to our sessions on so many occasions, talking about devotional service and so on. And last year we were very fortunate to experience his amazing host. He hosted so well that we had a wonderful time in Krishna Valley. So still have fond memories, Mohandas Prabhu. And every year, I think Krishna said, Yajna, Dana, Tapaha, Karma. So these are all the actions. Karma means what? Yajna, Dana, and Tapas. Yeah, Yajna, Dana, Tapa. So Yajna, Dana, the middle one, Dana, we should always think about, as Krishna said, these are the true karmas that you can do and give it to the right people at the right time with a very sattvic approach and mentality. So we have tried to do a part of it over the years, and Mohanadasa Prabhu is going to talk to us about this. Mohanadasa, thank you very much for coming again and sharing some ideas. So I'm going to hand you over to you, Mohanadasa Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, dear Guruji, and Hare Krishna, all of the assembled Vaishnavas. It's a great honor to hosting me, and also thank you very much for all of you for the over the last many years of friendship, wisdom, and support to our service to the Lord. And yes, it was very wonderful last year when you were able to come, and we had this beautiful experience of holy pilgrimage, and we got the association, of course, all together of Shivaram Sai Maharaj, and you, Guruji, gave that amazing class about Madhvacharya and so many wonderful topics. So honestly, we were missing you this year, but I really pray that next year we could repeat it again. And yes, so as you mentioned, that you and your community is very dedicated to help our welfare activity that Food for Life Hungary is doing over the last 32 years. Actually, this operation or this service is going on, and it goes on increasingly. So sometimes I say that I started to do this fundraising service 22 years ago here in Budapest, Hungary. And that time the devotees distributed like 150 plates of Krishna Prasadam daily. And now over the country, the devotees distribute 3,600 plates of food on a daily basis. Not even food, but prasadam. So over the last 2 years, we attained this 1 million plates of Krishna Prasadam per year that we distribute. And the wonderful thing is that we see how the spiritual potency of prasadam affects the people whom we are serving those plates to. So this regular prasadam distribution goes for family helping centers, orphanage places, and like homes that is provided by the government for families temporary who can't stay, so who become homeless. Then the government provides like small place of staying for them, and we provide the prasadam. We also distribute on a daily basis in like on the street. There is a park where anyone basically can come and have, mostly homeless people, but also many pensioners are coming because sadly the social service of the Hungarian government is not that favorable. And so this activity is going on a daily basis. And as we reported last year, we started to build this Food for Life new kitchen, which will be a huge development, and we hope that in the first part of next year, so we can open that. That is just next to the temple, because right now the Food for Life operation in Budapest goes on in the temple kitchen itself, which is like very small place, and it also limits our activities to increase. So now this new building is being developed, and we will be able to, so that will be a great step forward in our prasadam distribution. And so people of Hungary know the devotees of Krishna by these three main activities. One is Food for Life, the other is Krishna Valley, that they know as an eco farm, where we live a sustainable, self-sufficient lifestyle, and we do this simple living, high thinking model. And of course, the third activity of the devotees is that we go out on the street on a daily basis, and we sing the name of Krishna, Harinam, and we also distribute the holy scriptures. So over the last 30 plus years, devotees sold, distributed like minimum 5.5 millions of Bhagavad Gitas and Bhagavata Puranas, Isha Upanishads, so holy scriptures. And right now we have, beside the prasadam distribution, the distribution of holy literature is of course in our very focus. And with the permission of Madhusudan Guruji, then my fiancée Vraja Mohini would say a few words about that project, because she's very actively involved in this Shastra Dana service. So Janam, if you join. If you could unmute yourself.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Now, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hare
So
Krishna.
thank you so much. My name is Braja Mohini Devidasi. I recently joined the Budapest Temple. I'm originally from Turkey, and I'm originally a mathematician by training. And this year, for the first time, I'm taking part in our Christmas book distribution marathon. And if it's okay, I would like to tell you a few words about what we are doing. So can I share my screen? Is it possible?
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's there.
I'm
Share.
sending a request. Yes.
Maybe you can say a few words about your BBT service, John.
Oops.
How it relates to spreading the word in Turkey.
Yes. So yes, first I will tell about my services in the Budapest Temple. So I'm part-time distributing books that are given to us by our teachers. They are sometimes Bhagavad Gita, sometimes Bhagavata Purana, Upanishad, and other scriptures. So we find interested people, and then we give them these books, and people often really appreciate, also thanks to the good reputation of Food for Life in Hungary, because people know that Food for Life is a very, very trustworthy institution, and even people who have not so much interest in spirituality support us, and therefore meet the wisdom of the Vedas of ancient India. And in my in other times, part-time, I'm also translating the books of Srila Prabhupada, who is the teacher of my own teacher, into Turkish. We have a small but dedicated group of Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis in Turkey, and we are trying our best to give this knowledge also to other people in Turkey, because if they are seeking real spiritual wisdom, regardless of their religious background, we know that this will add so much to their life. So now I would like to tell you a little bit about what we are doing recently. You all know Shivaram Swami, whose picture you see here. This year he had a dream. In his dream, his teacher, Srila Prabhupada, came to him and said, I want you to start the distribution of Bhagavata Puranas on the streets of Hungary. As you might know, the Bhagavata Purana is quite a long text. Here you see the first 10 cantos, and it takes like 10 kilograms. So you might ask, how do we go to like events and even on the street? How do we give these to people? And the answer is that Shivaram Maharaj sent many of us to the US, where a devotee learned how to distribute Srimad Bhagavatams, in other words, Bhagavata Purana, to people on the street. And they got trained up, and then they came back, and just to fulfill the desire of their spiritual master, they just went from person to person on the street, just asking them, please, can you get this set of Bhagavata Purana? My spiritual master has told me to distribute these books to people. Please, can you help me? And by simply saying these things, devotees started to distribute Bhagavata Puranas on the street. And in the last 15 days of our Christmas marathon, book distribution marathon, devotees distributed more than 30 sets of Srimad Bhagavatams, Bhagavata Puranas on the streets of Hungary. And why is Bhagavata Purana important? Because Bhagavata Purana, or as it is also called Srimad Bhagavata, has a very unique approach. It has many different conceptions of the absolute truth in it, and this levels of conceptions are going higher and higher towards the book. So when you first start, you first read stories that address the question of doubt. Is there absolute truth or is there not absolute truth? And when this doubt is settled, then you have stories about, but absolute truth, is it a person or is it not? Does it fit the concept of nirguna or does it not? And when you pass through this, then you have the concept of a purusha. And then when you pass that, then you have the concept of God in connection with its Shakti. So you have progressively higher and higher steps of understanding of the absolute truth. And this makes the Bhagavatam such a special book. And it is so special that Srila Prabhupada has said, if someone comes in contact with the Bhagavatam, then such a fortunate man gets out of material entanglement. And for this reason also, he has said that Srila Prabhupada has said he wants every respectable person to have a full set of Bhagavatam in their house. So this is what we are trying to do in Hungary. This is our aim. So we are also asking for your support in helping us distribute Bhagavata Purana sets on the street. And I would like to show you just a few photos to conclude. I hope you can see. Can you see?
No, for me, yes. Now, yes.
Yes. So I just sent you a few pictures. These are people who just met us on the street. We have book tables and we have book sets, like Christmas sets. And then we just tell them about the Bhagavata Purana, and they get interested and they ask us if they can get it. So this was from a yoga event, I think. This was on the street. This is a yogi lady, I think. This is my friend, Shyam Gauri. So as you see, this is me and Mohan Prabhu. So I just wanted to show you pictures. We are really, really inspired by this change, this new Bhagavatam distribution that we are trying. And I just wanted to say a few words and share a few pictures also to inspire you. Thank you very much.
So thank
Yes,
you very
so
much, Brajamohini Devidasi and Mohanadasa Prabhu. Thank you so much. Yeah, Mohanadasa, you were going to say something.
Yes, I just wanted to conclude that this is for us the perfect way of welfare activity. That for the hungry people, we give Krishna Prasadam, and for the thoughtful and truth-hungry people, we give the Bhagavata Purana. And yesterday, I just had a perfect combination of the two. Yesterday, I met a lady who's in a very difficult social condition, and she comes regularly to our Food for Life program. Daily, she eats our Krishna Prasadam. But she became so interested, she asked a billion questions, and she said she read the Bhagavad Gita, she really appreciated it. And then we had a sponsored Bhagavatam, that was sponsored by another kind donor. So I was able to give this Bhagavatam to this lady for free, and then we shipped it, we took it to her home, and she already put it on her small altar, and she was like crying out of being touched. So of course we try to sell these sets to the people, but there are people who are really eager to have them, like students or other somehow poor people. And then if there are sponsored Bhagavatams, you can give this to those people. So this was our presentation, and thank you very much for listening to us and to standing on our side.
So thank you very much, Mohanadasa Prabhu and Rajamohini Devidasi. Very nice to see you in person, virtually in person, I would say. So look forward to catching up at some point. So what we will do, Prabhu, is we'll take back your excellent presentation, and hopefully Krishna permits that we are able to make some, whatever little that we can, do this year again. So we will do our best, and of course look forward to catching up with you guys whenever, if you're coming to UK or we coming to Hungary, look forward to catching up. Anybody has any questions for Rajamohini Devidasi and Mohanadasa Prabhu? We got another minute before we close today's session. So if there are no further questions, Prabhu, thank you very much. And Devidasi, thank you very much. Wonderful to see you guys.
Thank you.
And we'll catch up soon. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thanks.